Believe it or not, the 49ers versus Chiefs, specifically 49ers offense versus Chiefs defense, the tape was actually worse than what I witnessed live. And the reason why I put an emphasis on that is because that's not typically the case. Typically, one of the reasons why, after in my post game reactions, I will reserve critical judgment because I'm a big proponent of diving into the tape, being able to fully understand what happened, why it happened, what the defense is doing, what the 49ers offense maybe didn't do, to then be able to present, all right, we watched it, we saw it, these are the issues. Maybe it's not as bad as it typically is. Um, but I got into the tape, and unfortunately, it was actually worse. It was the tape was worse than, and again, this is rare. I talk about it all the time. That's why I reserve judgment, because I say, listen, it looked bad live, but I guarantee we'll get into the tape and we'll have better. No, this was bad. So, unfortunately, I try to point out those things when we do our film breakdowns, especially in losses. But in this particular game, it's just a lot of things. Offensive line, separation between wide receivers, bad reads by quarterback, um, defensive or offensive play calling. You name it. You name it. We got a little bit of everything in this one. So part of this exercise isn't to pour gasoline onto the fire and throw a match on it and be like, the 49ers are cooked. They're fried. The offense that we once know by Kyle Shanahan and the expert that it's over. No, I still don't believe that. And I think the film will also explain that. And I think there are areas to improve, but boy, this was a rough game. And you have to give a ton of credit to the Chiefs defensive coordinator. Woo! Spags was in his bag. But I think it's a good test. And I do think it's an important inflection point in this season, specifically for Kyle Shanahan. And we're going to talk about why this is, to me, more on Kyle than I think anyone else on the offensive side. We're going to get into the whole film breakdown. Again, it's not a pretty one. So I'll show the highlights where I can, but there's literally not very many highlights. So I will do my best, and we will talk through it, and you'll see I think you'll see kind of where I'm at with it as well. But you guys already know what to do. Hey, we're still faithful. We're gonna work through this together. Drop an SDS in the chat. Smash that like button for me, and let's get into it right now. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it. All right, guys, you ready to do this? Again, wasn't good by really anyone on the offensive side of the football. Mistakes all around. Um, but I do think the combination of Kyle and Brock Purdy definitely need to play a little bit better, and we're going to talk about all the different things that play into it. But of course, shout out to TickPick for sponsoring this show and allowing us to be able to dive a little bit deeper. And of course, if you guys are going to this must-win game coming up against the Dallas Cowboys, make sure you tap in with TickPick. Lowest prices around. Use the code SF9ers. You're going to want that additional $25 off just in case. But make sure you use the code SF9ers. Tap in with TickPick if you guys are going to the game against the Cowboys. But That's not why we're here. We are here to discuss what happened. Um, so, like I said, it's a brutal tape. So we're not going to sugarcoat it. We're gonna the first play we're starting off and the 49ers, it's 2nd and 21. So that's it was brutal from the start. And it wasn't ideal. So, all right, what do we see here? We're seeing a bust somewhere. I don't know where the bust is happening. I'm gonna assume right here between Chris Conley and Brandon Ayuk, there is some. This doesn't look natural. So we'll see. I don't have the context of what that is, but you typically don't want two guys in the same spot. I think Purdy is expecting something over here, doesn't get it. So I don't really know. I can't provide you with what Purdy's thinking or what the coach dialed up. But if you just take a look at Brandon Ayuk's body language, I think that tells you that Chris Conley did something that he wasn't supposed to do. So again, if you look at BA, he's like, "What the heck? What are you running, man?" And so this to me is a bust. So keep in mind it's 2nd and 21, and people are like, "Oh, Brock's holding the ball too long, whatever." But it's like we clearly have a bust in the route concept. Most likely the primary throws everything off. Brock's timing is off. He's like, I got to get out of here. And so he gets taken down for a minimal game as a result. And I think this was a little bit of a foreshadowing because it really didn't get much better for the 49ers offense in the first half. This was probably I'm not going to say probably. And again, I'm not a big hyperbolic take guy. I'm not a hot take person. But I do believe that this first half of football was the worst we have seen from Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy since they have been together. So I think, how do you move forward from that? Well, we don't do things like this. And when I'm looking at this, we obviously have play action, naked boots. You have When we're looking at this setup, you have obviously a defender right in the face of Brock Purdy. So he really doesn't have much time to really wait for anyone to get open. So in this particular look, the only guy that is showing any kind of separation is Kyle Juszczyk, who is coming over the middle of the field. But unfortunately, the safety's in the perfect position to just read eyes and just sit on this throw. And you can see he already knows that Brock is going to juice, and so he breaks this off. But the only other option that Brock has is taking a massive sack. So that's maybe where Brock needs to actually um, be okay with eating, these big losses, because obviously you don't want a turnover. Turnover is the worst thing you can do. And oh, that's not Juice. That's Kittle. My mistake. But again, there there's not much of any separation. He's about to get hit. He's trying to make a play, and the safety just does a better job of cutting it off and picking it off. So yes, this was a pretty bad interception from Brock. This was very not typical of Brock, but also at the same time, he has two options: throw to Kittle or get sacked. That's really about it. Because at this point in which he's throwing, Brandon Ayuk has not broken free or created separation. Where he's finally gaining separation. The ball is halfway to Kittle. You can see he would have been sacked by then. So BA is not open. He is very well covered because unless Brock just takes a pure leap of faith and just throws way out here to a spot and just hopes that BA gets separation at the right. I don't look at that necessarily as BA being open. So yeah, when you're watching this and you're like, okay, yes, that is a bad interception, but you're also looking at the overall scheme. He has zero options. He literally has zero options to go with it. So it's either the second best option, in my opinion, right here is you take a sack. That's really it because I don't see anyone open within the timing. You have to either pump and make the guy miss and just try to create with your legs, um, which obviously is probably better than a sack. So it's just a tough spot to be in, right? So you don't have a lot of options, and you're trying to make a play, and unfortunately, just not a good one. Not a good one for the 49ers. So it put the 49ers at an extreme disadvantage. And then when we kind of talk about that as we continue to move forward, and you look at plays like this, there's nobody really generating a ton of separation. Again, this might look like there's a decent level of separation between Juice, but again, opposite side hash, you're throwing across the field. Defender can undercut that route and really undercut that angle in a hurry. So just not a lot of options. So he's trying to throw it on the upfield shoulder to Kittle. Obviously, a lot of contact here. I don't even know if this got called. I believe that should have been called because you're not allowed to touch a wide receiver like that more than 5 yards downfield. Obviously, that's going to affect the timing of Kittle's route. Purdy is working off the timing as if he's going to be able to get a proper release. That doesn't happen because of the hand fighting and the holding. So, okay, we missed this one. All right. But you look across the board, not a ton. You see Chris Conley, he's got a step here, but you can also see that you have a safety screaming over the top. So I don't know. I don't know what to do in that particular scenario. Do you try to throw it? How many yards is that? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 yards downfield against the right sideline? Or do you just try to find something underneath? But it didn't work. Bottom line. So again, it's just but when I'm like looking at the spacing, I'm looking at like the routes, there's nothing super there's nothing super creative about this. It just feels like I don't know. It didn't feel like we were watching a Kyle Shanahan led uh team. So, you know, I don't know. It didn't feel good. Didn't get the fuzzies going. Um and then this one was just again another unfortunate play. Play action, Nick Bolton just he comes up to fit the run. He realizes it's play action, instantly gets into the passing lane. Just a phenomenal play by Bolton. You can see that Purdy's trying to throw with some anticipation. He's trying to fit it into this window on the inside of the hash, but just a better play by Bolton. But really, if you look at it, this was going to be a extremely tight window throw to begin with. I think he would have been able to hit it if Bolton wasn't in the passing lane, because it probably would have hit right about here, and Ayuk would have been able to run onto it. But just a better play by Bolton, unfortunately. So the 49ers offense just we're 9 minutes in, and there really wasn't much of a highlight to be found. Um, just a lot of disjointed plays, not a lot working for the 49ers offense up until this point. Um, this to me wasn't very this to me isn't typical of Brock, but I know it's been something that we've been talking about a lot because people have felt that Brock does get tipped at the line of scrimmage at a high rate, and as we just showed, 2 tips at the line of scrimmage back to back isn't helping that narrative. Whereas I think this is typically a place where Brock has actually been ultra successful at being able to throw around uh defenders. Watch his body language. I don't know if he wanted to throw this. That looked like he was trying to stop the throw. Like his feet, his the way the follow through, like I don't know if he was trying to throw this. I think he might have tried to pull that back. We saw him do that in previous weeks where he pump fakes in the middle of a throw because someone was in his throwing lane. It looks like he was trying to bring that back, and so as a result of trying to bring it back, he threw it directly at Pooney's head. Think so. Um, not good. It's not good. But again, it's also not typical. And I think it also speaks to how just Spags had the 49ers offense's number. Like their Brock wasn't comfortable, the offensive line wasn't comfortable. They weren't getting guys open. Like he's throwing to an extremely covered Kyle Juszczyk. You know, you got tight coverage with Ayuk. It's just not there. And yeah, not good. Not good. But again, I also think he's trying to pull that ball in, and it just got away from him. Wow, that's a crazy reference. Shanahan turns into Henry Winkler in The Water Boy uh, versus Andy Reid. That's a crazy reference. Um, but honestly, kind of feels that way. It does kind of feel that way because I'm not sure I've seen a performance like this from an offense. Like, because this is a perfect throw. This is what you're looking for. You get good protection. We get a one-on-one matchup versus McDuffie. Ayuk is able to fight through, get some separation. Brock Purdy puts it on the upfield outside shoulder. Perfect pass, and just an unfortunate one. Um, Unfortunate drop for BA. So these types of plays were like it's just reminiscent, man. Michael says, Brad, are you seeing that Spags is forcing O-line to shift pre-snap and sending rushers opposite side. Yeah, we'll be talking about some of those coming up very, very soon. That's some nice foreshadowing there. We're going to be talking about the offensive line pressures because part of the issue, in my opinion, is that Brock isn't feeling very comfortable in the pocket, and he's not feeling very comfortable in the pocket because he constantly has bodies around him. Like when you see right here, you get a four man four man rush, nothing crazy. He sees the field, he sees where the holes are in the zone, easy pitch and catch, hits it to George Kittle. Like these are the 49ers moneymakers, right? So this this team is capable. Eric says, Brad, what would you say to the people that are saying that the season is over after the news of BA and Debo? Well, Debo got out of the hospital today, so that's a good sign. I expect Debo back. The BA news is really difficult. I think it's tough because BA does impact the San Francisco 49ers offense quite a bit, even when he isn't producing in the stat sheet. He does a lot of things off the ball that I do think impact the 49ers routes and spacing within the defense. So that's going to be a difficult situation. That's why I'm kind of in the mindset that I do think the 49ers should make a trade, but also I don't think the season is over because it's not. I think it's a challenge. I think it's going to be very difficult. They definitely have not made it easy on themselves, and they are in a hole, and they're going to have to pull themselves out of it. But they gotta get away from stuff like this. When we look at this, this is Spags. This is Spags beating Kyle, in my opinion. When you have the offensive line, or no, this isn't the specific one. This is your guys just beating themselves. You have Banks and Sauber miss on Karloftis. Um, I'm not, based on my read of I don't know, like what, I don't know. I They trip over each other. They go down. Carl Loftus gets a sack. No one's like, ugh. This is a brutal one, guys. This is a brutal one. Obviously, there's a bust on who has which guy. It's clearly a play action, but yeah, that's not good. It's not good at all. High level analysis, that's not good. So this is where the trends start to peak a little bit, is where the 49ers continually get caught shifting protection to the what turns out to be the wrong side. So you have, I mean, this is an exotic look. I want to be perfectly clear that this is not an easy job for an offensive lineman. This is not easy at all. Like Spags is probably at the top of the list in regards to defensive coordinators for a reason, because of his ability to just absolutely attack the vulnerabilities in the 49ers offense. So using their offensive line protection rules against them, they are keying. So offensive line, the center is going to slide the protection. He is going to call the protection for the rest of the group. They're either sliding right, they're sliding left. It's determined on the mic and where they feel they need to slide protections. So, um, with this situation, the 49ers continue to find themselves sliding protection, which appears to be the loaded side, but they had like this one, they had the nose tackle drop out. They have the middle linebacker blitz. The guy in the B gap shoots into coverage, and then they bring a cornerback, like, and as you can see, you have two free rushers, but you have five offensive linemen blocking three. So this is to me the defensive coordinator manipulating the rules of the 49ers offensive line against them. And this is something that we've talked about quite a bit. Again, I don't have the answers to it because the 49ers have been getting caught in this going back as far as 2022, where they will have an overloaded side. They will slide protection to that side. They drop out the overloaded side and they bring the numbers on the weak side. And so as a result, you get a numbers manipulation. And so they get caught in this look. Like, so Purdy knows he's about to get hit. So he tries to just throw this with somewhat anticipation before he gets hit, and the timing is just off. So this is a scheme. This is scheme versus scheme. This is Spag's scheme beating Kyle's scheme by being able to find vulnerabilities in the scheme and then attack it. And that's exactly what they did. And so you can see, based on their protection rules and where the slide was called, this is how they deem it to be, at least from my, uneducated, like I'm not in the room, so I don't know. I'm not in the room, and I'm not going to pretend like I'm in the room. And I'm sure there's a much more defined, detailed answer to why this is happening than I'm even providing. But all I can say is that I see it. I see it consistently. I see it all the time. And it's one of the things that is concerning, because people are going to, like, a lot of people talk about, like, oh, Brock's off, right? Which could be true. I don't think Brock was on this game. But how can you be on when you have two of the top defenders? That's Trent McDuffie coming to take your head off, and you just got to get the ball out extremely fast. Um, it's a tough spot to be in. Brock is off on this throw. Yeah, Brock is off on this throw because the timing of the play is messed up. That's how football works, especially the 49ers offense, which is timing predicated, because if Brock Purdy um, were to wait for Ayuk to get to the spot, he can't throw through this defender. So he has to try to anticipate this, while he, out of his peripheral, has two guys absolutely coming to destroy him. So yes, the throw was off by Brock for sure. But that's what happens when you are constantly under siege and you don't have the time that is required in order for you to execute the offense, which is timing based. So again, it's really easy to say, oh, Brock missed the throw. But the reason the throw is rushed is because the free rushers were coming to take his head off. So I did see some adjustments being made later on in this, so it gives me a little bit of hope. Um, you're going to see on this one, the timing is off here with Brock and Ricky Pearsall. So you can see again, timing. Brock has to throw this ball before Pearsall is even out of his break. And so as a result, the timing is sped up. Pearsall, I don't even think really sees it in time. And so they don't catch it. So again, one of the things that I started with on this film breakdown was a simple fact that pressures a are directly impacting the timing of these throws. You have you if he waits a second more, not even a second, a half second more, his elbow's getting hit, and that's a fumble. So he has to throw it a step too soon before Pearsall is ready for it. And so this is pretty much what we were seeing um, all throughout the game. But it was cool to see Pearsall get his first catch. I mean, it's okay to say that Brock didn't play well, and also the offensive line didn't play well, and the scheme didn't play well. That's literally the entire point of this particular film breakdown, is because obviously the film doesn't lie. The film isn't good. This is one of the worst offensive films that I think I've seen in the Kyle Shanahan era, and it's it's everyone. It's offensive line, it's routes, receivers, it's busts, it's bad throws, misreads, it's pressures, it's scheme. It's like literally, it was an I think it was everyone, but it's just tough, man. It's a tough situation because I know everyone's upset, and a lot of people are looking for a finger to blame, and the whole point is that because it is everyone, I think everyone can also play better. I think Kyle can scheme it up better. I think Brock can play better. I think wide receivers can get more open. I think they can make adjustments with their protections. I think all of these things can be improved. I really do think that can happen. And again, like even like this, like people are, I think this throw, like I've seen a lot of people come down on Brock Purdy on. And, ideally, yes, you would love to see Brock be able to hit Kittle on the upfield shoulder. I agree with that. I'm not discrediting that. I do think that you would absolutely love to see Brock hit Kittle in stride, and we see Kittle go all the way in for a touchdown. Would love that for sure would love that. But again, it's like watch Brock be impacted by pressure. Pressure affects his ability to step into this throw. He has to maneuver the pocket. It messes up his timing, and it changes the trajectory of his throw. So I get it. I get that you want to get you want to get this to Kittle on the upfield shoulder. I agree with that. I agree that you want to hit him in stride. I agree with that for sure. I definitely agree. But man, we have a four-man rush, and we have to get Brock slipping and sliding all into this pocket. He's literally got his center standing right in front of him. So, yes, underthrown a little bit, probably. Do you want to see this on the upfield outside shoulder? Absolutely. But we're not going to sit here and pretend like he's throwing from a clean pocket and it just he doesn't have the arm strength to do it. Bro, like I would love to see anyone maneuver through a group of that's probably combined weight of like 3,000 pounds around Brock to be able to sidestep a pressure while you've got your guy standing right in front of you, keeping your eyes downfield. You step on what looks like the back of Jake Brendel's shoe and you get the ball out. Again, it's a nitpick, but it's like, all right, come on, relax. Brian says, glad to see you break down the X's and O's. Hope the issues get addressed. But man, another issue is the team doesn't feel like a team right now. Leadership needs to step up and rally the guys. I think that's fair. And I think that's why when I look at this game and the offensive issues, I start with Kyle. That's really what it is for me. Is I think that you got to put your guys in a better position to be successful. Now, obviously, you got to execute, right? But you also got to put your guys in a better position to be successful. Like, I don't think everything needs to be so tight. Everything with the 49ers offense right now is so tight. Like, even this, Brock has got to step up, avoid pressure, throw into a tight window with the defender standing right in front of him, fits it into an extremely small window. And unfortunately, this is a season ending play for Brandon Ayuk. Um, it's a tough situation. I feel absolutely terrible for BA, but again, we got it's too muddy, man. It everything feels real muddy right now. Um, and I really hope that these guys can get past it and be able to figure it out. Like this is like our first tunnel screen, and it worked well. Tunnel screen to Jacob Cowing. Cowing turns up field. It's like let's get the ball out of our hands quickly. Let's neutralize the pass rush first, potentially prior to uh you know like these are like I don't know. I just wanted to I feel like I wanted to see a little bit more creativity in this game, and everything just felt very vanilla. And I don't know, man. It's hard to put your finger on it. This was just a weird game. It was a weird energy. I thought it was interesting how um I thought it was interesting how Jerry Rice talked about the energy in the pregame. Um, said it was off. I don't know. In like instances like this, again, no one's open. This to me is a throwaway. Um, he's just like, all right, there's nothing open. Just get this thing the heck out of here. So he just throws this thing away. Because I would be surprised if he's throwing a ball like that to Jacob Cowing, who's I think 5'8". And then it's like situations like this where you have a 3rd and 1 and the 49ers can't get 1 yard. And this it's like, man, I feel like we got better playbooks or we got better plays in the playbook that would guarantee us getting, 1 yard than I don't know. Again, you gotta tip your cap to the defense. He called a great like, you can see them filling all the gaps in the run game with their defensive players, including pulling McDuffie off, of coverage. It was a better defensive play than an offensive play. This was more about the scheme beating the scheme. This was Spags beating Kyle in a 3rd and 1 situation from your own 5 when you needed 1 singular yard, and you get out called and you lose yardage. So any opportunity to potentially go for it, that goes out the door because you lost yards. And again, man, it's tough. It's a tough one. I see Mason should have followed Kittle. Yeah, probably. But based on what I'm seeing is, yeah, I don't know. You might be right. What's up, Mr. Aponte? Haven't seen you in a while. Are we cooked? We were definitely cooked against the Chiefs, that's for sure. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know exactly. So the thing that I feel like Mason is reading right here is he's reading this because when you see this as a running back, see this little head, what the defender is doing is he is in control of the offensive lineman, which means he's just standing there waiting for you to pick the hole that you're going to run. So he's holding his leverage inside the hole, basically baiting. He's waiting for you to hit that hole so he can shed the offensive lineman and tackle you. So the way that I'm reading what Jordan Mason is seeing is he is seeing that, yes, this hole is direct. You have Kittle coming around, but he's seeing that this guy poking his head around, looking straight at him, is being like, come on, man, come run right here, run right where I'm at, so he can shed him. And then you can see when he cuts back, the defender sheds Banks. Like the number 98 is in full control of Banks right here. And so I believe that what he is reading is he's reading this rusher. And so he's trying to cut against the grain, put his blocker in a better leverage to be able uh to cut back, man. So yes, it does look like if he would have followed Kittle, he would have scored for sure. I agree with that. And I'm trying to put my mind into Jordan Mason and think that he's either reading or it's a design cutback because the play design probably doesn't call for a cornerback blitz. So if McDuffie isn't blitzing, then that is an open hole for the most part, right? So McDuffie blitzing, again, to me, my interpretation of it, it's a better defensive call against the 49ers offensive call. They filled every run lane with a defensive player. Every hole, every gap has got a Chiefs hat in it. Hat. You got two. Bolton can go either or. He fills the immediate run lane. He's back over. They literally have hat. Like, this is, to me, I would say that's better. That's better on the defensive play call than anything else. We get another free rusher, 5-on-5, sliding protection, overload the weak side, free rusher. Scheme. This is a better scheme. This is scheme versus scheme. Purdy getting loose. 4th and 1. Oh, you need 1 yard. Just go with the quarterback sneak. Nice. Nice. Maybe we just do that the next time around. So on this one, I would have loved to see. I get why he did it. I think he wanted 1st and 10, get the completion, Kittle's open, but I also would have loved to see that shot. I would have loved to see Purdy plant that foot and go throw a back of the end zone shot to Conley. He probably didn't like it with what he saw. He took the more open, which I don't have a problem with. Would have loved to see that shot, though. There we go. Short yardage. Get some yards. I actually love. I don't know how this came about, but Purdy running a sneak right here. You have the 49ers pulling banks and Pooney the opposite direction. No one's alert to Purdy. And all right, now this is a play where either Kyle called this or Purdy did it on his own. I don't know. But if we're going to talk about scheme battles, this is out scheming the defense. So I thought this was a good job by the 49ers offense to be able to actually get a touchdown on short yardage. So that's good. That's good. Again, we're just basically working through the first half. In the first half, there was really not a lot of highlight plays. This play I really liked. You're going to get Dominic Pooney blocking 2, Jordan Mason making a guy miss. So I just think they need to get into rhythm, man. I just think they need to get into the things that they work well for them. They need to find a rhythm. They need to be more creative. They need more options. That if they need to, I don't. I'm not an offensive genius by any stretch of the imagination, so I can only see on tape the things that are working, that aren't working, and I think it's as simple as let's not do the things that don't work. You know, let's not continue to try to do the things that aren't working for us, and got to make some adjustments when it comes to how we're calling protections, how we're doing things like that, man. It just we gotta we gotta switch up a little bit because this wasn't ideal. Now, like this one, I thought this was a good protection. I thought, you know, being able to keep in Garendo, Pooney gives a little bit of pressure, but they're able to pick up pretty much everyone. It's not a bad, it's pretty solid ball placement. Like that's a catch, but that's just better defensive play by McDuffie. And so there was one overload protection that I thought was a pretty solid indication of how they need to do this. So again, the concept of you got numbers on this side, but so you're going to slide protection to this side, but they're going to drop these guys out. They're going to bring numbers on the back side. So if you are sliding protection to the to this side, which means everyone from the opposite side guard over is sliding, this guy has to be head on swivel. He has to be alert to backside pressure. He cannot commit to the slide. You can see they're all sliding, but you can't commit. You have to be able to keep an alert to be able to come back and pick up these backside pressures. And also, they have to keep in a running back. If their protections are going to call for them to slide like this, then they need to keep in running backs. They have to. They have to be able to deter them bringing numbers on the backside, and so that I think the keys are this guard on the backside being alert to being having to peel back and keeping in a running back to be able to get these looks. But again, this is one of Brock's interceptions. I don't know who's at fault. When Brock goes to throw this, he's throwing, anticipating Ronnie Bell is working upfield. Ronnie Bell breaks it off. Kyle said it's on Brock. Brock said it's on Brock. I don't know who it's on, but I can tell you what Brock is doing. Brock is throwing this, anticipating that this angle that Ronnie is on, that he is going to continue that, and he didn't. So I don't know whose fault that is. I can just tell you what Purdy was reacting to. And so when we're talking about those overload blitzes, we're going to get another look at that here. So see how we're getting this overload. Now see the difference in this one. Banks isn't going to keep his head on a swivel. Banks is just going to slide. And I understand why he is, because you have to be alert to loopers. You have to be alert to like these guys looping around. So it's a double-edged sword. It's very challenging. But and so with Banks here, he's alert to a guy looping around, but they keep catching him in this look where they still keep in a back to protect, but you got 3-on-2 and you got 4-on-3. These are the numbers that the 49ers are continually getting caught in, and it's really impacting the offense. It's really impacting their success in the passing game. It's really impacting them. It really is. Uh, and you can see that they just don't have the numbers. Their numbers are mixed up. They keep getting caught in this look. You got 4 versus 3 and 3 versus 2. This is out schemed. You're getting this to me isn't a skill issue. This is a scheme issue. You have to be able to have answers and counters to these looks, and the 49ers just aren't getting it right now. And it's tough, man. It's tough. Again, I don't have the answers. I can only say what I'm seeing. And this one to me was this tape definitely felt like let's burn this tape. Let's never watch this again. Even though that's probably not the right way to go about it. I think that I think that the pressures I think the pressures are the biggest thing to me. I think the pressures are really hurting this offense. The pressures and the lack of outlets to be able to get the ball out when there are pressures. I think the combination of those two things is really handcuffing the offense because again, like in this particular instance, nobody is open. No one's open except maybe Jordan Mason. But even so, Brock gets hit. You can tell he's not comfortable. He doesn't know where to go with the ball. He's trying to make a play. He gets hit as he's throwing, and the ball goes right to the defender. So I understand. So the point is like, man, the whole offense struggled, man. It from scheme down struggled in this one against the Chiefs. Everyone struggled. Uh so but we got a nice look for a touchdown when it didn't matter though, unfortunately. Like I like this design. I think this design was great. It schemed them open. So this is 49ers scheme beating the Chiefs scheme, and you get a Ronnie Bell touchdown. Like this is like okay, we scheme someone up. So again, it wasn't pretty. I tried my best to work through it. That was one of the rougher films that I've had to work through. It was really just not not a good game for the 49ers, man. It was really rough. It was really bad. And and again, this comment I don't necessarily agree with. Now I do agree that Brock didn't have his best game. I do agree that Brock made some errant throws, but when you look at the interceptions and how they're occurring and you start to see that Brock has no options and Brock is just forcing things, and when you force things, then typically bad things occur. If he had more options and wasn't getting constantly hit and pressured from every single angle. I don't know if you guys noticed, but pretty much every single play that I showed you where Brock is dropping back, he has a defender or an offensive lineman in his lap. And then when you look at the play call and you look at the wide receivers, whether it's spacing, whether it's separation, there's really minimal open players downfield. Like it's a combination of things. Brock forcing, not quality protection, getting out schemed on protections, and not getting separation, and not being creative, and not being able to get those one read, two like easy throws. Like we're not seeing those at least in this game. And again, to me, this game feels so atrocious because it's one of the worst games that we've seen from both Brock and Kyle. And it's, of course, against the Kansas City Chiefs. So it's like a triple, quadruple negative. It's just all bad. It's bad vibes, it's bad execution, injuries, out schemed, outperformed, like out executed. It was everything that you don't want to see from an execution standpoint, from a play calling standpoint, from protecting the football standpoint. It was all gross, to be honest. Um, and so I have a hard time putting that on one singular person. I think a lot of people are trying to put that performance by the offense on Brock, on the offensive line, on the receivers, just on Kyle. It's on it. It's on the group. That wasn't a good performance by the group. The group needs to play better, and it starts with Kyle. Kyle needs to put these guys in a better position to be successful. They need to put their offensive line in a position to be able to make the right calls, to slide to protection the right way, to be able to have answers and counters. And that's where I'm seeing the issues. I'm not seeing the counter punches. All right, they're going to throw an overload at you. Where's the counter to that? We see it coming. We feel it coming. Where's our counter to it? Where's our bang one read boom? I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing guys get separation. I'm not seeing those things occur. And so when I'm not seeing those things occur, I have a hard time singularing out one particular person and being it's this person's fault. I look at this as, man, Spags had this offense in hell, had Kyle in hell. They had no separation. They were down their wide receivers. It was a backs against the wall type of situation. And unfortunately, they weren't able to fight their way out of it. They didn't have the answers, they didn't have the counters, they didn't have the ingenuity and creativity that you need to be able to have against a Spags led defensive attack. And Brock had some bad throws. I agree. Brock made some bad decisions, but you can contextualize that some of these decisions are being made because he has nothing else to do. He's processing in 2 seconds. Do I take a sack here or do I try to force it and make a play? Because there's nothing else open and I got to do something. I don't have time to be like, what do I? So I think they need to be better as a group. And it starts with Kyle. It starts with, then it goes from Kyle to scheming to proper protections. Then it goes to Brock executing. It goes to O-line executing, wide receivers, tight ends executing. It's a process. And I felt like in that game, you can check off like we had issues on every level. So if you want to assign blame to the offense. The offense as a whole didn't play well. The defense played much better, and they're a great defense, and they really attacked the 49ers quite a bit and made it very, very challenging on them as a unit. So the answer, or the what we want to see now against the Dallas Cowboys, is how do you respond? How do you take this tape, and how do you address all those things? Separation, protections, creativity, getting the ball out of your hands quickly, making sure there's options. How do we do that? How do we execute that? Because what the 49ers did against the Chiefs, man, you're not winning against any team who's going to do that to you. So I know a lot of people really want to focus in and hone in on specific one issue, but boy, it was a collective. Um, Gizmo says our O line always getting pushed around by the Chiefs. Yeah, not ideal. But I got to get out of here. That was a rough one. I apologize. We got to get into it even when it's rough. I don't like showing lowlights, but unfortunately, that was predominantly what that film produced. And so, as we say, when they play good, tape doesn't lie. When they play bad, tape doesn't lie. They played bad. The tape, I can't manipulate the tape. The tape is the tape. That's what it is. It wasn't good. Um, and I really hope that it is a wake up call for Kyle and everyone else. I think they gotta implement better schemes, better protection schemes, and they gotta execute better. It's as simple as that. But I gotta get out of here. I appreciate you guys. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Peace. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to